Most people think they need a massive lifestyle change to feel better, like quit your job, move to Bali, get a whole new identity. But the truth, you're one or two micro habits away from a completely different life. And I'm not talking about dramatic habits or time-consuming morning routines. I'm talking about tiny, simple shifts that take less than 2 minutes. And yet, they change everything. These are the 5 self-care micro habits that made me feel unrecognizable in the best way possible. So let's dive right in. All right, so the first habit is something that I call the morning mind dump. Okay, so it's not the prettiest name, but hear me out. Every morning before I open my email or check my phone or even make coffee, I sit down with a notebook. I set a timer for 2 minutes and just dump whatever's in my head onto the page. There's no structure, no prompts, no dear diary. It's literally, here's what I'm worried about. Here's why I didn't sleep well. Here's the thing that I need to remember to do today. It's messy. Sometimes it makes no sense, but you know what it does do? It clears the static. There's a great study from the University of Rochester that shows that journaling, even informally, reduces stress, helps to reduce anxiety, and improves emotional regulation. It's like taking out the mental trash before it piles up. I started doing this during a season of major transition when I was on the verge of leaving my job as a doctor and figuring out what the heck was going to come next. My mind was loud in the mornings, and I noticed something. When I brain dumped onto paper, I wasn't carrying all of that noise into the rest of my day. I had more focus, more emotional bandwidth, and way fewer spirally thoughts by 10 a.m. This habit just takes 2 minutes, no fancy notebook required. Just get the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. The second micro habit is something that I never used to think twice about, but now it feels sacred. It's what I call the first sip pause. Here's how it works. The moment that you take that first sip of coffee or tea in the morning, pause. Just for a few seconds. Feel the warmth, smell the aroma, take a slow breath in and out. That's it. It maybe takes 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds can shift your entire nervous system. What you're doing here is building mindfulness into something that you already do every day without adding a single extra task to your to-do list. It's a technique inspired by something called glimmers. So you've heard of triggers, those little things that really stress us out. Well, glimmers are the opposite. They are those micro moments that regulate your nervous system and calm your brain and help you to feel safe and grounded. By the way, let me know in the comments below if you have ever heard of glimmers before. But when you intentionally tune into a glimmer, even just one per day, it actually makes your brain more resilient over time. There is even research showing that as little as 60 seconds of mindfulness a day can lower anxiety levels by up to 30% over time. 60 seconds. Now, I used to just chug my coffee while answering emails or doom scrolling the news. That used to be my version of a morning routine. But when I started doing this first sip pause, something shifted. I felt like I was reclaiming a tiny part of my day. Like I was saying, this moment belongs to me. It sounds so small, but honestly, it changed how I moved through the rest of the morning. So tomorrow morning, when you take that first sip, pause, close your eyes, take a breath, let it be your signal to your nervous system. We're safe, we're steady, we're grounded. And then carry that energy into the rest of your day. Now, if that tiny moment of stillness with your coffee can shift your mind, wait until you see what can happen with habit number 3. Now, let's be honest, most of us are sitting all day long. Working from home, glued to screens, stuck in traffic, binge watching at night. It adds up, and it's not just your hips that get tight. It's your energy that crashes, your creativity that disappears, your mood that tanks, and you don't even realize it's because your body hasn't moved in hours. We assume that we have to wait until we have time for a real workout, like a full 45-minute gym session, in order to feel better. But the truth is, you don't need 45 minutes. You just need 2. Here's what I started doing. Once a day, no matter how busy I am, I take 2 minutes and move. That's it. Stretch, walk around the block, do 10 squats in the kitchen, dance to one song. It's not about fitness, it's about flow. This habit is called the 2-minute movement burst. It's super simple. Once a day, it doesn't matter when, you just stand up and move your body intentionally for just 2 minutes. That's it. No sports bra required. No fancy playlist. No need to go hard. Just move, stretch, do a few squats, dance like no one's watching, or walk around the block, swing your arms and roll your shoulders. Whatever it is that gets your blood flowing. What's wild is that these tiny movement breaks actually work. There's a Harvard study showing that short, intentional bursts of activity just sprinkled through the day can boost energy and mood more effectively than one long workout. Now, I discovered this by accident. One day I was feeling totally stuck, like brain fog central. So I stood up and did an 80s dance break in my living room. 2 minutes later, I was a different person. Now it's a daily thing, sometimes structured, sometimes spontaneous, but always short, always doable. If you've been stuck in the I should be working out more spiral, then try this instead. Don't wait for the perfect plan, just move. Right now, 2 minutes, any way you want. Let your body wake you up again. Now, moving your body for just 2 minutes can totally shift your energy during the day, but what about at night? Because if your days are low energy and foggy, there's a good chance that the real problem is what you're doing in that final hour before bed. So let's talk about the habit that completely changed how I sleep and how I feel the next day. Let me paint the picture. It's 10:30 p.m., you're exhausted, but your brain is wired. You're scrolling Instagram, bouncing between tabs, maybe watching just one more episode, and before you know it, it's midnight and you are wide awake, overstimulated, and somehow still tired. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Most of us are completely frazzled by bedtime because we're bringing the entire internet into our bedrooms. Every ping, scroll, and flicker of blue light is telling your brain to stay alert. And research shows that exposure to screens at night can delay melatonin production by up to 90 minutes, which means that you don't just fall asleep later, you sleep worse once you do. And it's not just about the light, it's the content, the stress, the noise, the endless to-do lists, and comparison spirals that we are soaking up right when our nervous systems are just begging us to wind down. So here's the shift that changed everything for me. I created what I now call a digital sunset. Every night, usually around 9 p.m., I shut it all down. No more emails, no more scrolling, no more screen-based stimulation. Instead, I slip into something slower, maybe a book, a stretch, a little evening ritual that reminds my brain, we're safe now, you can rest. It's simple and it's subtle, and it's made a massive difference in how I sleep and how I show up the next morning. Now, I am not anti-technology. I love technology, but your brain, it was never meant to process that much information at bedtime. Every time you scroll or swipe or even check your inbox, you're sending signals to your brain. Stay alert, stay stimulated, don't relax yet. And the result is poor sleep. Fragmented sleep, and then waking up feeling like you didn't really sleep at all. So try this one tonight. Pick a shutdown time, even if it's just 20 minutes before bed. Light a candle. Read a few pages of a real book. Breathe. You will feel it, the quiet and the exhale and the version of you who isn't just running on fumes, but is actually restoring herself. Now, cutting the noise at night helps your nervous system reset, but what about your identity? Because even with the right habits, if you still see yourself as the same overwhelmed, behind on everything version of you, you will keep living that same story. So let me show you the micro habit number 5, that helped me to rewrite my story. Here's something that I have learned over and over again in my own life and in the lives of my clients. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity, which means if deep down you still see yourself as chaotic or inconsistent or never quite there, that's the reality you'll keep stepping into no matter how many habits you try to stack. It's not that you don't want to change, it's that your actions are still anchored to an outdated version of you. And most of us never stop to challenge that version. We keep defaulting to her. We keep proving her right. So here's the habit that helped me to break that loop. Once a day, I do something that I call a daily identity anchor. It's just one small intentional action just for me. It reflects the future version of who I'm becoming, not the overwhelmed version, not the I'm just trying to keep up version, but the calm, focused, grounded woman that I want to be. And it can be as simple as putting on real clothes or tidying up one small corner. Saying no when I mean no. It's not about the task, it's about the signal. It tells my brain, this is who we are now. And the more that I anchor into that version, the more everything else aligns. If the future you is healthy, your anchor might be drinking water first thing in the morning instead of grabbing your phone. If the future you is grounded and present, maybe it's pausing before saying yes to yet another thing. If the future you is organized and self-respecting, it could be as simple as making your bed or getting dressed in something that makes you feel like someone who shows up for their life. It's small, but it's symbolic, and that's the whole point. There's actually evidence to support this. Researchers have found that habits that are tied to identity are far more likely to stick than habits that are based on outcomes. So when your action says, this is who I am now, your brain starts catching up, and you don't just do the healthy thing or the empowered thing, you start to become that version of you. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, or change careers overnight. Sometimes all it takes is just one or two tiny shifts to create massive momentum. Maybe it's a 2-minute brain dump in the morning, or that first sip pause that reminds you to breathe. Maybe it's a stretch, a shutdown ritual, or putting on jeans instead of yoga pants. Trust me, I get it. These micro habits, they are not about being perfect. They're about becoming more you. Clearer, calmer, stronger, maybe even unrecognizable in the best way. Now, if you're ready to take this even further, I made something for you. It's called the Self-Care Checklist, and it's totally free. It's packed with tiny, doable practices just like the ones that I shared today. Things to help you feel better fast without the overwhelm. You can grab it just using the link in the description below. Start small, stay consistent, and don't be surprised when your life starts to shift in ways that feel a little bit magical. Now, if one of these habits really spoke to you, drop it in the comments. I would love to know which one you're going to try first. And if you enjoyed this video, I think that you are going to love the one that I am linking on the very next screen, which is all about 12 things that I gave up for a happier life. I will see you there. Uh-oh, I gotta pause for a second. Just honestly, 2 minutes.